How's it going, guys?
Hello. Hello.
Getting some frame stutter.
Just your computer.
Oh, that's how's it going, guys?
Yeah, that's loud.
Mistakes were made. There we go. Mistakes were fixed. That's weird, because I muted that earlier, too. Welcome to episode 35 of our On Target Shop. On Target Talk. There we go.
35.
We're right. So today's topic, we are talking about the kind of things you can do to tune your gun outside of the regular throwing parts and running at. We each kind of have our own little things that we like to do to make our guns better, and perform better, shoot better, more reliable, so on and so forth. We're going to be spending a lot of the stream talking about that. We are also going to spend a segment talking about the news. There's been some interesting interesting things in Airsoft lately, and we are going to be bringing back our on-target picks.
They're called bullseye picks.
Bullseye picks. Yep, you're right. But I only realized the other day how perfect the name of the stream is because our logo is across there.
Like bullseye.
Right.
I don't think that hard.
Perfect.
I guess I should have looked for
you.
I don't know.
But before we get started, as always, we're going to start with some of the announcements of upcoming things, to which you can find the links of them in the description of the YouTube video, or if you go to our events tab on Facebook, you'll find them no problem, or our website, you'll find them basically
On our
everywhere.
calendar, there's
So,
no place you can't
what
find
just went live for you guys is... Yes, James didn't mess up at least.
Hopefully. Oh my God, it's all
You can
good.
officially pre-register for the Halloween Hop. It's gonna be a good time as always. So don't miss out on that. Save yourself some money and
$5.
Yeah, there you go.
Be here.
I'll let these guys take away a little description of the op. You can also read it on the screen, but
All right, so.
then always clap.
I'm
Anybody
sorry.
with headphones, probably.
Sorry, headphone warning. All right, so Transylvanian Terror. Your boy Dracula, homeboy's back from the dead again, because for some reason people can't kill him. So what he's done is Dracula has this miraculous ability to bite people, and if they're not dead, he doesn't kill them. They're like mindless servants for him. So pretty much now he has an army of undead people, so zombies and all these other things, and all of the horror movies, like all those characters like Freddy and Jason and Pennywise that have all been haunting the world separately are now all working together in a way to wreak as much havoc as possible. And that's horrifying. So, sorry. So they're trying to wreak as much havoc as possible. Batman says, not today. Can't have none of that. So then he's like, Joker, I need your help.
What did he say to Joker?
He said Joker, and he was like, Joker.
It's like cliffhanger.
It was like Joker, and we'll be back after this commercial break. What did Joker say to Batman? He's like, I guess I'll help you, you jerk. He's like, I've got a joke. So then, now, the DC heroes and the DC villains are reluctantly working together. The enemy of my enemy is my friend. They don't want this, so they're going to be fighting that out. It's cool, so players can show up as any of these characters. We've been creating game modes based around all of these characters. Pennywise has one, the Joker has one, Freddy has one. So there's a whole bunch. So whoever shows up in that costume will essentially get to. The game will be based around you. We have a bunch of games in case not everyone shows up as the characters we need, but still pretty cool. So pre-register for that. You have the DC team, and you have Dracula's Legion. So pick one. There'll be at least one zombie game. So make sure you check that out.
Are we still going to be doing that thing with, let's see, what is it? Where we're going to do a few game modes based around several villains or heroes. Are we still going to be doing that?
James.
Or did I just do that thing again?
I'm going to kick you in the face so hard.
Did I just do that thing again?
Yeah.
Oh, it's sweet. Cool.
I can't tell if you're trying to be funny or you're just that.
I spent like 2 minutes.
That's literally all Dan's been talking about the
I was
last
like,
2
if you
minutes.
guys show up. So So to reiterate, if you guys show up as that character, we'll have a game mode base all around you, so you'll get to be whatever kind of.
Are we going to be releasing the list of people online?
It's whoever's on the flyer.
Oh, right.
Don't worry, he's just the effing manager.
Yeah, right.
Why would he know this?
Just
stuff?
don't show up as Batman or Dracula, because I'm going to be Dracula. Okay. So, but there's that, and so that's going to be pretty cool. Probably going to have a costume contest that day, so whoever shows up in the flashiest costume gets judged by staff. You'll win something. So, but more recently, coming up this weekend, we have the Extreme Airsoft Adult Night, September, so that's the 30th. So from 6 p.m. to midnight, it's going to be gaming, 18 plus only, no babies allowed, it's Adult Swim. You got to be there. It's pretty cool. It's been drawing a lot of people that normally wouldn't come, just because it's a completely different rule set. You have 400 FPS. You have no safety kills. You have pyrotechnics. You have the RTBs. You have kind of whatever you kind of want to do. So you have a lot of options with that. And it's a really fantastic opportunity to just play CQB without going to pay $1 million to go to an event. Shoot somebody in the face close range. You can do that in our facility for it's $20 for the admission for that night, and then it's $35. It's all day, right?
Yes.
$35. So if you want to play from 11 a.m. to midnight, 13 hours of play, you can do that for $35. Tell me another field that has that good of a deal. Zero.
13 hours.
Zero. So. You guys got to check it out. So we will have normal gaming from 11 a.m. until 6 p.m. Once 6 p.m. hits, kiddies get out of the pool because it's the time for the big kids to play. So that's going to be awesome. It's always a fantastic time. So hope to see you guys there.
Yeah.
You guys are the ones to do it. And thanks to everyone who came out to Pistol Shotgun Night. I had a lot of, we started the week with how many scatter guns did you bring in? We brought in 8 or 9, and then we were down to 1 in the store by the end of Pistol Shotgun Night, pretty much. So it was a lot of scatterguns.
Yeah.
There were 7 people there that had scatterguns that were using them at night. So it was really cool. Just I even got to, Charlie was awesome. I don't know if he probably said something, but he tossed me, he let me hit, so I went out and played with it. Those things are sweet. On 6 shot, everyone's going to call their hits. When you get shot 6 times at the same time, you're not going to be like, I'm not going to.
We actually got a video.
Yeah, we were talking about this, just a few. But do we want to start with the news?
The news. Good news.
Oh.
Sistema has released.
Good news! James bought the part to fix his gun and then lost it.
Yes, I bought the little $3 pack of high tension springs. I bought that as well as a pack of replacement brushes, but really it's the springs because it needs to just push the brushes in there further. I can't find that little 2-pack of springs, so I gotta order another $3 bag of them. That's going to be the thing now. So the news.
What you mean?
Instead of the Dacia Sandero, it's the Sistema. News on the Sistema.
Updates on James' Sistema. How unsuccessful he's been.
So if you don't live in a hole, you have probably heard what's been all over the Airsoft interwebs this whole week, and that is the fact that Umrex was able to somehow obtain the license for Glock replicas.
That long question of, do you guys sell Glocks? Yes, we will.
Whatever that is.
Yes.
So what's really surprising about this is I'm surprised Umrex got it and not Cybergun. Because Cybergun... Oh, do you have some background?
So I have some background, not the full story, but I have a good enough amount of information. So if you actually watch that video, this video exactly, at the end you'll notice that this is for distribution worldwide except for France.
Right, Cybergun is based in France.
It's a French company, and about maybe backtrack 2-3 years ago, Cybergun originally obtained the Glock license for military training purposes only.
Military police,
Yeah. So if you wanted to purchase a Glock gun, I could get them as extreme, but the deal was you had to be a police department or otherwise.
Do you remember the cost of them was like $100?
Oh yeah, and there's these.
And I'm not even kidding. Like there's literally I think north of $300 per gun.
Oh yeah,
because they had to they had to pay Glock like $100.
Yeah, so there's a licensing fee, which is its own thing. But the deal with Glock was, let's say, I'm the guy that does the order, and let's say I wanted the only airsoft Glock, to be produced in the last 3 years that wasn't totally ruined. Fully licensed, whatever. So let's say, I'm like, all right, so let's say this police department down the road ordered 20 of them. I put 21 on the order. The deal with that is the police department pays me, I pay my distributor, the distributor then sends those Glocks directly to the police department. So even if I wanted to get an extra one, I couldn't. So
the drop ship.
Yeah, and so I think it's very curious that Umarex was able to obtain this license, and it's available for sale everywhere except for France.
Well, and again, that has probably just conflict of interest in France. Cybergun has stepped back their world presence significantly this last year.
Yeah.
I don't want to go too heavily into that. That might be a little.
They recently changed the logo.
Yeah.
Like
but they had initially released, Cybergun had initially released the first batch to France under like in a concert or something.
Yeah, so I believe it was Cybergun that actually went around and sued all the airsoft stores in France for selling.
That was, I thought that was Glock.
I think it was Glock and Cybergun. I think Cybergun was getting the license, and so their first step was to get rid of all the ones in the stores.
Yes, and so for those of you who are a little, who aren't up to date on that whole thing, the reason why we don't carry Glocks, because yes, I could get them from Asia. I have a couple of small distributors in Asia that carry them, but here's the deal. A few years back in France, any store that was selling airsoft Glocks, it was either like this said Palco or Cybergun or Glock themselves went to these stores and find them something along the lines of for every instance that a Glock was sold or however many they had in their inventory, they find them a set amount. So let's say that set amount was $100 per Glock sold. You've been selling airsoft Glocks for 7 years and you've sold 300. All right, well that's quite the hefty fine to pay, and that can put some people out of business. So that's why we were skeptical and ultimately haven't been bringing airsoft Glocks in, even for special orders, is that if that kind of thing were to come to the United States, many stores would be almost put out of business.
Yeah.
And I believe Des is going to be fact-checking me on that, which would be a good idea because it's been quite some time since I've been fully up to date on that story. But that is the basic gist. We are going to learn the full details about this. These are the new.
Well, this is 2014, so it's actually even previous. But Glock has had a long history.
Oh, Airsplat. That's what they were
of suing different companies.
Maybe that's why Airsplat went down.
Well, probably didn't help.
I bought from Airsplat. They were a pretty good website. Now they're now a wholesaler.
Yeah. They have been for a while. But either way, this has been going on for a while. This is why it's so interesting that Umarex was able to obtain a license.
Yeah. For air guns and airsoft guns.
So, and actually, I do want to point out, before I go into the actual company that will, in my opinion, most likely be producing this Glock. Before I go too far into the airsoft side, I do want to say I always found it interesting how Glock refused to allow airsoft companies to
create
the replica. And so I have a theory as to why. I have two theories. So we always say, we never understood it because, having used an airsoft HK-45, I've realized how incredibly comfortable that gun is to me. It's made me want to go purchase a real one. Same thing with using an airsoft P99 and then holding a real one.
It's like giving the beta, not this bad analogy, but it's like giving a beta version of something to someone trying it out.
Well, and I know
except they buy it, they pay you in licensing, and then they go and buy the real thing.
Right. And
it's a win-win.
And you have a lot of people who get really used to a frame, a field, and they want to have that same thing in the real world because they got used to a 1911, a 226, so on and so forth. So it seems like it'd be really beneficial. I think that because Glock, even in itself, the reason it's so popular, if you actually go read the old stories, some of it's rumor, but part of it is they kind of bribed their way into the holsters of police forces around the world.
Who is this?
Glock.
Okay.
And it was a competition between Glock and I want to say it was Colt, but I can't remember exactly who. But there's a lot of incentives thrown around by Glock in order to win the competition. Even though a lot of people actually agree it wasn't a better pistol. And so I wonder if part of it, Glock thinks that if people start playing with Glocks, they realize maybe they're not the most ergonomic pistols in the world, and there are more ergonomic pistols out there. I'm wondering if they're concerned it'll hurt their long-term sales, or more likely, to be honest, I think they're concerned that people associate wrongly, which is the thing, but whatever. And I think they're concerned that someone's going to pick up a crappy airsoft Glock, it's going to break, and they're going to say Glocks are dumb, and they're buying a real Glock.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
And which is just the wrong type of association in general.
Like it's an airsoft gun, that's definitely not.
No, I was just, someone said that on the chat, someone said that they're making every Glock model but an 18C. Well, actually, the airsoft side is going to be a 19, 17, and 18C for starters.
Yeah.
Because those, and I'll dive into the airsoft side of the
Yes.
Yes.
So I would love to know the true answer, because I've only seen this get speculation, and mine is speculation as well, as to why Glock never allowed it. What does concern me is, especially with the way they did with Cybergun, is how much the licensing fee is going to be per gun.
Yes. What will the price of the airsoft Glock be?
Right, and they haven't released these numbers yet. And here's my concern: is I believe, especially given its Umarex, that is going to be based off the VFC quote-unquote Glock. Now, VFC never actually produced a Glock under their name because they didn't want to be sued. They, just like some authors write books under surnames, VFC produced an airsoft Glock under a different company name.
Which one was that? It wasn't Stark Arms?
No, it wasn't Stark Arms. Can you refresh my memory here?
I'm sorry, I'm actually reading the fact check about why Glock doesn't.
Who was the initial? What Glock?
What did VFC use to sell their Glocks as? It wasn't
Stark Arms.
Was it Stark Arms?
Yes.
Okay. So under basically a fake name.
Yeah.
So that they couldn't be directly sued. And I think it's going to be those same VFC Glocks. What kills me is that they used to cost $120 when we could get them.
I think it's going to be north of
I think it's going to be north of 200.
Really?
Oh.
Knowing Glock, I really wouldn't be surprised. Knowing Glock and Umarex's willingness to sell a limited edition really high pistol. They've done it many times now.
Okay.
I think we'll see it first as a limited edition pistol, knowing Umarex.
Okay. So just to be clear, what was your guess as to why they don't allow licensing?
Again, speculation. I think they're concerned leaving a bad taste in customers' mouths about Glock.
With quality being that no good airsoft manufacturer made them.
Right.
They would break and then they would associate
Glock,
airsoft Glock with
exactly.
that. What about you, Dan?
I was just going to say that they didn't want to be associated if someone did something absolutely dumb, like how kids
Well, that's
do.
another one too.
They take out, they're like, oh, I have airsoft Glock, take it out in
Kid
public,
gets
gets
shot
shot by
holding
law enforcement. Kids
Yeah.
get shot, airsoft Glock. Suddenly Glocks are, boom, no Glocks
That's
ever.
another fair point.
Okay. And my original guess was that they didn't want to associate toys with the real deal. And I was correct, as well as Dan and Dez's second guess was correct as well. And so just this is a direct quote from when they were suing Airsplat over the fake Glocks. Let's see. It's often seen. But a Glock is a serious device. If Glock lets toy guns exist, they can be used as realistic props in hostage situations, inciting firefights where no real weapon is in play. Your Glock has a civic duty to its constitutes to keep its design tied into real weapons. And also they want to say Glock might also have a public relations interest in keeping the toy versions of a specific product out of the hands of children. So they don't want their serious firearms.
They're so behind.
They're such on their high horse.
Well, they're such on their high horse, and they're so behind the public image of airsoft nowadays. Like
It's very bad.
I would have understood that thought process 10 years ago. But like nowadays, every single airsoft pistol exists in an airsoft variant, and it's licensed and allowed by those airsoft guns. I feel like they're like the old grandpa who hasn't figured out what's going on yet.
Yeah, like come
Not
on,
to
like,
diss
It's that
Glock,
old person.
time.
It's that old person being stubborn and being like, I don't want to get a phone. That's ridiculous or something. Well, just old person, not like old Didn't mean a southern accent. I don't know what that
I got you. I got you.
So looking at going towards the airsoft side of things, so this is public information. I'm not releasing anything that you haven't heard yet, but you most likely haven't heard it since the way that I find this is in groups where people who work for these companies.
Okay.
I'm just trying to see that you get some real. I'm just trying to pump it up the fact that like you're hearing this first.
Just talk.
All right. Okay. So some of you may have known this, but yes, it is going to be VFC Stark Arms is going to be the design for the. And you're probably confused as to why is that. And Umrex has this thing where quality is their #1 concern.
Actually, I have a couple stories relating to that.
And they will pull a product off and stop selling it until it's perfect, and they will re-release it. Most of the time, they won't even release something until it's perfect, much like Polar Star. They take very good pride in their work, and so a lot of people are asking like, oh, well, when will these be released? It can be released as early as November or as late as March of next year.
Wait, what? The Glock?
The Glocks, yes.
Yeah, that's why I think we're going to see a special edition land. I think that's part of the reason they do their special edition guns, limited edition guns too, is it's a great first batch to
to get out there. I mean, I'll buy one of each.
It's a limit, so they release 1,000 guns, and they can get really good stats on the reliability of those 1,000 guns, what goes wrong.
No one's going to shoot their limited editions. What are you, crazy?
I have plenty of people do.
No,
it's enough so I think they get enough of a data input to say, okay, this little part's an issue. They fix those customers' guns, and I think when they do their mainstream release, they've used the lessons learned during the limited edition. And now this is just again speculation, but it's what I would do.
Okay. So this is what I know so far, and that's a very good idea. So the models that are going to be released at first, that have been confirmed at least, are going to be the 19 to 17 and the 18C. Those are the mainstream models. They cannot go wrong, all 9mm. Toward in the future, I'm sure that they're going to do the 45 variants, the subcompacts. I'm sure they're going to go crazy with the Glock. It's a Glock. I mean, they'll sell it no matter what size shape it is. And the reason why I say it uses the BFC design is they're actually going to be using several different manufacturers to help to help meet the demand at first. So that's why I say there's a very large range of the release time, because each manufacturer is going to go through rigorous testing. This is from Cliff himself commenting on a post about it. He said that it'll be released once everything is finished, like once everything is finished testing. So it'll be the same design, and I can guarantee you that it's all going to be of the same quality, because like I said before, Boomerex will not release something unless it is perfect. Like perfect. Like even if you get it from 2 different manufacturers,
they deserve the
color match will be perfect. The parts will be interchangeable. It is literally the exact same gun using the exact same manufacturing processes, just so it was made by different manufacturers.
Okay,
to help meet demand.
So here's the thing: is I wonder if it's to help meet demand, or I wouldn't be surprised. Again, we're like, how the hell did Umrex get this license on us?
Right.
Yeah.
I wonder if part of this license is that no single manufacturer can be producing the whole gun. So I wouldn't be surprised if, say,
If there's different parts.
if like maybe the lower is made by VFC and the upper is made by some other company, so that only Umrex can be selling the final products.
That's an interesting theory.
There's a whole thing where anything produced in Taiwan, China area, a lot of times gets copied and sold as, you know, a different gun, even though it's the same gun.
Yeah.
And maybe this is Glock's and Umrex's way to stop that from happening. So I wonder if, you know, again, speculation, but I wonder if that's part of the motivation here is, like I said, just keep it in Umrex's and Glock's control.
Right. So then there's no knockout.
And again, that would make tons of sense.
I think make a lot of sense.
Yeah.
And that way you have all your slides being made by the same company, all your lowers being made by the same company. If there's something wrong with one, you're not dealing with having 3 different companies fix it, it's just one company.
Yeah, you're just like, I know who I have to deal with. Bam.
So I bet you that's what's going on. And not necessarily that's the motivation, but I bet you each company is producing a very specific part of
That'd
it.
be smart. That's pretty cool though. Like an actual licensed Glock that isn't
Right.
a replica. I mean,
The funny thing is anybody who has one of the Olympians Smart Arms ones, they had all the licensing on it. Depending on what Umrex sells theirs for, It might suddenly be worth way more.
Damn. Oh man, I had a Star Card. I had a G19.
Yep.
Okay, so just to confirm, so this is an Elite Force official news group. And once again, everything I'm saying is
Yeah, just stop.
so someone
Super legit.
asked about the release date and about any maybe information, and then he just said simply depends on quality control testing. We won't release until it passes. And then the same person asked as a follow-up question, will you be able to share the OEM yet to everyone? And then there'll be multiple OEMs of the popular models just to help build demand. So that's all that we know, and that is probably and like I'm sure I can call him up and that's all he'll tell me personally on a phone call too.
Yeah, exactly.
But yeah, so I'm very interested to see the price point though.
Price point is what somewhat concerns me, just knowing how Block's been licensing.
Yes, and just because they've been so stingent about their license forever, I can see they're definitely putting a real high premium on these pistols.
Right.
But
a little bit,
I'm very
a little bit be like I'm on the high horse kind of company.
Even though like people, they're known for their reliability, for being an
but they're also known for
reliable
other issues.
Yes, yeah. So, and a lot of people call them the high point. It's Austrian for high point. So that whole theory, going back to why you should always license out your guns, because I owned a Glock 19 made by WeTech for a very long time. I like the way it felt, and just overall, just the look of it. Mm-hmm. And so I bought a Glock for my first pistol. Right. And it's a nice, it's very reliable.
But it's not stunning.
I haven't like the. I don't like the trigger. Maybe it's just a striker fire thing. I can't really pin it against Glock, but like I don't hold it in my hand, and I'm just like, obviously it's real nice. It's nice.
Yeah.
But I've held some like $2,000 pistols before, and it didn't make me go like, wow, this is some serious quality.
No,
it didn't make me do that. But it's so we'll see. We'll see if dare I call it a standard, maybe slightly above standard real firearm is going to be a premium airsoft firearm. We'll see. Right. Because the FNX, that's a premium airsoft firearm, but it is also a premium firearm in the real world.
So premium price point.
Yes, that's kind of what I'm getting.
Those things are.
I'm very curious.
Just the FNXs are really expensive.
But just one more thing to add is we'll talk about Wimrex and the quality and why I love it. What's this? It's like their base M4 is something like on its 7th or like 13th generation.
Oh yeah, the what is it? The CQBs.
The CQBs.
Yeah, that gearbox is on its 7th generation. When I had the 416, when we were talking with them back in 2015
years ago,
2015 or 16, they said that they were on their 16th iteration of the 416. Yeah. And they actually released a design for the new one, the one that uses the slanted magwell. So they're continuing to improve.
I love how
A5.
Is that the A5?
I think so.
Which is funny because I just have a regular M4 lower on my 416 upper so that it takes regular.
So it works.
So I was
you're correct. Yes, the A5.
No, he's right. So I was ahead of the
A5. That A5 is
the voice by receiver. When I had mine.
But like I said, I want to point out that Cliff was telling me a story. There was one time that they had an issue with a batch. I don't know how many details I can give away, so I'll just say here. They had an issue. They had a bad batch of guns from a company. And that company responded with saying, oh, well, you can just buy these parts and it'll fix the issues. And Umrex's response was, well, we're not going to buy a single thing from you until you remedy this. Because they refused to continue selling any products to their customers that might have issues.
I think it was.
Again, I'm not going to. I remember all the details. We're not going to.
Oh yeah, I think what the details were. I'm not going to mention any brands or names or anything like that. But it was a blowback rifle.
It wasn't a rifle. It was a pistol. But either way.
Okay, and maybe. Well, this is my recollection. Maybe this might be a completely different conversation. But it was a gas blowback version of a very popular gun that's not available in the United States. It's only available in Asia. And to
that
make
was
it,
different. That was
okay. Because I think it was like in order to make it legal for the United States, it has to be not as high quality because it has to pass ACF testing.
This was a pistol that had issues.
HK.5. Oh, I'm sorry, that's on the wrong.
You are such an idiot.
Oh, that was full. That was full. I'm sorry, I thought it was on that thing. Whatever.
You are such an idiot.
Whatever.
I will.
That actually was a full bottle. That kind of
This
hurt.
is the level of dingosity like which we preached before. This is
I'm sorry, I genuinely thought it was up there, that everyone else could see it. Anyways, but I guess...
But you still said it out loud! What would be for you to say that out loud?
Well, it was up there, but everyone could see
Oh
it.
my
So that's what I thought, because it was just on the screen. And usually
Then why
yeah,
would
that's screen up, but
why would he? Why would he
whatever.
say that?
It really doesn't matter, I'm pretty sure. Anyways, so that gas, just to finish up my little thing, so that gas blowback gun had to be manufactured slightly different in order to be sold in the United States. And that company wanted Boomerex to pay for the machining, which would be, several tens of thousands of dollars. And they said, no, you do it on your own time, and we will buy that from you. And it still doesn't exist, so I guess they didn't take them up on that option.
Yeah.
But once again, that goes back to their whole thing of, you guys will make this gun right on your own dime,
And then we'll sell a million.
and we will sell a million of them. But you uphold your end of the deal, we will uphold our end. And I'm pretty sure they've always upheld their end of the deal.
Okay. So, do you want to do a product spotlight, and then we'll talk about tuning afterwards?
Yeah, sure.
Alright, sounds good. So, as we were talking about earlier, one of the coolest guns to come out lately, honestly. It's only been out for about a month now. This is the Jag Scattershot, right?
The scatter.
Scatter gun.
Scattergun.
Close.
Scattergun. My
Scattershot.
mistake.
Muy close. Muy.
Let me pull up some pictures for you guys.
Very in focus, high quality photos.
Yeah, this is what happens when you can change the camera.
Had I known there was going to be this,
Here, let me move our face out of the way here.
look at that. That's a gun.
Oops.
You didn't know. It's an airsoft.
So by Jag Arms, is it truly a clone?
Yes,
Okay.
the parts are interchangeable with Tokyo Marine.
Alright, so it's a true clone of a Tokyo Marine A70, right?
Yeah.
It comes in full stock. Is there different barrel lengths?
I think there's one where the shell tube is here, so then the top barrel actually wears longer.
So
there's this, and then there's that stubby TSS. Yeah, right. Jeez,
Quality.
it's very
photographs
flattering.
here.
it was an
So then they have the
Quality
TSS ones, which are
photographs.
shorter, and then they have the
so
they're
there's
shorter with the pistol grip and the stock.
yeah,
That's
those are tactical versions. So they have the version that Dan is holding, and on the pictures they have that in black and tan. And yes, and that the shell tube. There are two different models. One had an extended shell tube, the other had a shortened one. I'm almost certain that it's purely for looks, just because the retail price on those is exactly the same.
Yeah, it's all
there's no functionality difference between the two. They also make, like Dan said, the tactical model, where they sell the shorter barrel and the pistol grip and movable stock, as well as they make the tactical model. That's actually, it does have
Definitely
a longer barrel with the tactical model. I think that's like the whatever it's like the
TSS.
yes, yeah, the TSS, which has that fancy rail system on the top of it. All retail around below $240.
Can you, just like the TM one, can you adjust the hop of each barrel separately or altogether?
I am not sure. I have not taken one apart.
I know I think it's all the TM 870s. You can actually have a hop of adjust for each barrel.
I don't know.
So pull that this. Is there a single hop of adjust or is there three? Looks like just this.
So that is to switch between the 2 and 3.
Right.
I don't think is there even a hop-up adjustment on that? I don't think there is.
Fair enough.
No.
I might be thinking the AH12.
Yeah, AA12.
I'm thinking the
The
AH12.
TMA 12.
The A12 has more space for a more advanced hop-up unit.
Yeah. I was just thinking triple shotgun.
So then this thing, like we just said,
But you can pick between 3 and 6. We actually have a chronograph test for each. So let me throw it on the other monitor. So I changed some audio stuff, so it might not come out. Let's see, come on.
oh man.
Windows 10 for you. So this is just firing 3 rounds at a time.
Is that 2 O's?
2 5s. We did actually have one that went above, but I think that was just...
That's probably
it was probably a chrono error, to be honest. So at one point, I'm just playing it again here. At one point I did actually hit the chrono, so that's 200 as you see. Whoops.
That's really...
340 FPS out of, that's one.
For the tri-shot, that's awesome. Like, put 2 8s in this thing.
Right?
Sniper rifle.
Uh,
Ooh.
And then I have video. This is shooting 6 rounds at a time. It's like a handful of pellets. Still 250.
That's still pretty good. Most spring shotguns shoot 200, so 250. Better than any stock TM shotgun.
And then this last one out of rounds, but
yeah. And all you got to do to change that is you rack it, and then right where normally a hop-up would be on a gun, you can just flip a little bit. 3 to 6, back to 3. And that it's pretty sweet. The tactical one, it doesn't have a gas chamber, like a removable gas chamber. It's in the buffer tube.
that's a problem.
So then you just have to pull the stock down a bit and gas it up. Whereas the full stock, you have a little button.
Something.
Yep, XSplit just crashed on me. We're still streaming, I think.
So they can still see us. Let's see.
I think.
So then you charge up this little gas tank right here, and then you just put it right there, lock it into place, snap that bad boy back on, gas. These things are pretty cool. I got, like I said, I got the.
Let's do that for a second. I fucked up. Mute.
Okay.
Keep talking, Dan.
Alright, so I actually got the chance to use one of these. Shout out to Charlie for letting me use this Friday night on Pistol Shotgun night. I only got to go out for 30 seconds because I was like, oh, cool, thanks. I was caught the ass end of a game, but I mean, this thing was cool. I mean, I was like shooting with the 6-shot burst. I was just like, I couldn't believe it. It was pretty impressive. For sure. So I was more than thoroughly impressed with its performance. I mean,
for the price point too, like for like that $200
Yeah.
price point,
Now,
it really quite is a good deal.
I will say, is it as good as a Toki Murray?
In terms of reliability out of the box, I cannot say that.
But in terms of value, it's probably
Best bang for your
In
buck.
terms of value,
It's a good bang
full
for your buck.
disclosure. So these are first generation reproductions of an already, and I'll say sometimes finicky gas system. So when you have that, when you have a manufacturer who's making it cheaper, and it's the first generation of this, you're going to run into issues like if you get one of the tactical stock models, if it leaks out of the stock, it is not broken. It just means the castle nut needs to be tightened. What I've been doing is in conjunction with tightening that castle nut, I've also been replacing the O-rings on that stock, which has proved to be very useful. With any luck, they'll fix that, and I'm definitely going to be giving my Jag rep a call and letting him know about all the issues because, the second batch that I've gotten has been a bit more reliable, but a bit more reliable as in I can fix the out-of-the-box issues. I haven't had to send any back yet, which is still pretty bad. A few customers were definitely upset by that at first. But once again, for that price point, you should definitely I just want to make sure that everyone understands what they're buying. I think that's very important as a good salesman to understand what they're getting into. But I can honestly say, for the value, it is an excellent deal. I can honestly say that.
I would agree.
Yeah, the best bang for your buck. Like this one's like we have it in the store for like $185 for a gas-powered shotgun, and it comes with the tactical one comes with 5 shells. This comes with 3. Most shotguns are just like, hey, shit out of luck, you get 1, and then ASG is like, all right, we kind of think you're cool.
There goes the free gas. Profanity free gas.
Oh, man.
One day we'll do it.
And then ASG with their shotguns, they're like,
Quest.
ASG's like, I guess we like you guys, so we'll just give you a 2nd shell. But Jag said, you know what? We think you guys are cool. 3, and then the tactical one that comes with the shell, they're like,
6.
we'll give you fudge. Sorry.
You all right?
That hurts. Yeah, I'm fine. I think my girlfriend was sick, so when I saw her the other day, I think I might be sick. But
You got the goodies?
Oh god, there's some jokes I can make right now.
Oh, yeah. Okay. But in the end, these things are awesome.
Hey.
So yeah.
So anyways, buy one of these.
But before we go into our next topic, I hate to say, unfortunately, this is going to be how the stream's going to be for the rest of this stream. I clicked the wrong button and it crashed XSplit, and so the options are either end the stream early or deal with us being in a small box. Actually, wait, you know what I might be able to do? Nope.
Oh.
Yes. Nope, yep, nope, we're stuck like this. So, whatever, it is what it is. Yeah, it gives me, look, it's giving me this nice dialogue box. Emptiness? Emptiness, I can't.
Can you X out of that?
Nope.
What about changing the scenes? You can't do anything.
No, I
like
can't.
that.
I'm not even sure how to end the stream, to be honest.
Go into a task manager, just end process.
Well, I'll probably put it on the websites. But either way, so let's get into today's actual full topic. We were on news for a while there. Of
you should have called this one the news.
Of tuning, things we do to better our guns. Little things a lot of the times that make really worlds of differences.
If you want a PPW, twigs are an excellent thing. If you
want
can
a
find them on the ground, perhaps keep a couple in a small pocket because they assist with getting into that.
We would say, you know, maybe bring some tools with you, but you probably can't afford those because you own PPW.
Yeah.
It's like selling your car for gas money.
Yeah, right.
It's like, well, I really need gas.
No, actually,
but
more
I can't
so it's
afford
like
the gas.
buying a car and using all your gas money.
Yeah, right. Exactly.
Like, well, I have the power now.
That Porsche, and you're just like, wait, it takes premium.
You're like, I have the car.
Put it in.
Exactly.
I have the car, but I don't got no gas.
No, but so we're going to talk about each platform, both AEG and HPA. Not so much about Spring. There's maybe actually, you know what? I'll talk a little bit about the little things I do for both these. I have a good amount of experience in that as well. We'll start with most common. Anything you do in specific to AEGs to really up their performance, both in the way they shoot and their accuracy, things like that. Staying away from the front end. I know you're looking at me like, Des, you're the one who does this, but I don't feel like talking about it. We'll go back to with HPA.
I was literally going to say, drop a fusion engine in.
But, so, okay, I guess I'll start with AEGs. If you guys don't know, I used to tech the guns here for a while, actually, before I stepped down from that. But, you know, staying away from the, just throw money at it, throw parts at it, which will definitely work, don't get me wrong. I'm certainly not telling you not to buy stuff, because
you're going to have to.
If I'm actually building a gun for a friend this week, and if you have like $400 to $500 to throw in an AEG, God, you can make the thing unstoppable. Throwing a Titan MOSFET into it, ASG Infinity motor. The nice thing is it's GMP, which is compatible with the 13-to-1 super shooters from SHS. So like the super shooters, they have that one gear that always breaks.
Yeah, it's not
The one that goes to the motor. I'm
Yeah.
blanking on the name of it really bad right now.
It's not the bevel or the sector.
No, it is. I think it is bevel.
Is it bevel?
I think so. So it goes bevels for sector.
Yeah, so
Yeah,
it's a bevel gear
gear.
has problems.
But the other two are like made of unobtainium, except that one gear is made of crap. So what I can use, I'm using his GMP gear
So,
as the bevel, and I'm using the spur and the sector from
That's
SHS.
cool. Yeah.
Either way, if you can throw money at a gun, it definitely is great, but there's still these little things you can do that really just up the performance. I hate to say it, and I know I'm going to get flack for saying this, even though you know inside you all agree with me. Getting rid of the fuse makes a big difference.
Bypassing the fuse?
Yeah. Don't do that if you don't know what you're doing.
Yes.
If you're just the kind of user that throws a battery in a gun, wants it to work, and you really don't understand how the system works.
AKA a filthy casual.
James, I'm going to literally put my shoe through your neck.
Just kidding.
Yes, but you're not. That's the problem.
Why would I be kidding? Well, why would I not?
Exactly.
No, why would
exactly. You said it yourself.
I
so you
that up.
already
I messed that up.
You mess everything.
Why would I not be kidding?
So bypassing the fuse if you know what you're doing, and if you're someone who's going to be looking to tune their gun, I'm sure at this point you're someone who knows what's going on enough. So bypassing the fuse will save you. Will generally get about half to a full volt drop across the fuse, which degrades just the performance of gun in general.
Yeah.
Another big one that costs
Trigger response is the voltage drop.
trigger response, exactly. And rate of fire, but
Yes. Yeah.
really everything. It just makes it not work as well. Another big one is changing to Deans.
Oh, please. Everyone should just do.
I really like GMP for deciding that Deans is just how things should be.
Yeah.
They sell their guns with Deans on them, stock. I wish the whole airsoft industry.
They make things a lot easier.
Charles said, "Don't be cracking on me and my fellow filthy casuals, James." Charles, you are not a filthy casual. Charles, you have.
See, further implying that there are people that are. See, you're not helping.
Well, of course I'm saying that there are filthy casuals. I'm just saying that Charles is not one.
Way to go over here.
No, I'm not going to say what makes you a filthy casual, but I'm just saying Charles is a very smart guy, and I've seen what he's done to airsoft guns in terms of teching.
Fair enough.
He is not. This is his first time around the block.
This is true. This is true. But okay, so yeah, and then we're gonna go through it like power and then efficiency. So those are big ones. Sorry. Throwing the MOSFETs in it is great, but not everyone can do that. Where's the expertise too? So I'm gonna stay away from at least opening up the gearbox. Another thing is, obviously it goes with. It's just a sound like but motor height is a big thing.
Yeah, some people just come in and they just use it. I'm like, that's a way you damage your gun if you don't have really good motor height. That's horrible.
And the way to adjust motor height is pretty simple. At least what I do is I shoot on semi as I slowly turn in the motor until I hear it start to slow down. It'll get quieter and quieter, less grindy noising, and it'll get more grindy noise, or it will start to slow down. At that point, back off about a quarter a turn, go to full auto, hold it on full auto, and go in a quarter turn and out a quarter turn. And somewhere within that half a turn will be the great place to be. I suggest before you do that, though, throw some removable thread lock on the threads.
Oh, Blue Loctite is the removable version. It's the medium strength. The red stuff, you're more likely going to strip your screw before you break it.
You definitely will strip your screw.
Yeah.
Or you'll just need a new bob to grip. The number of PTS used to put fantastic thread lock on their motor plates, enough so that if you needed to adjust your motor, a lot of times you need to buy a new motor plate. Literally, they would break the motor plate before you were able to unscrew the thread locker. I was like, PTS, I love you for using the thread locker. Like, removable.
Some customer did that this weekend. They just bought a gun. Except I think they use super glue because I was standing there trying to crank this thing. I was like,
crazy. Well, because the issue is these motors obviously have a little shaft, and that bottom of the shaft with newer, there used to be a little metal plate between the adjustment and the motor.
Right.
But everyone lost that metal plate, and it wobbled, it made noise, it wasn't great. So lately they've been replacing it with a big flathead screw at the bottom, and the issue is the motor shaft spins on that flathead screw and naturally unscrews it or screws it in depending on the way the threading is and all that kind of stuff.
It happens a lot on Amoebas. That's probably the one
because they don't use thread lock in the factory. And that's the thing is, if you're gonna take the time to do it, put a thread lock on there so that you don't, unintentionally loosen up or tighten up your motor too much. A number of times I have guns that are jammed and I go 1 second, I unscrew the motor thing,
and then it's like
gun shoots on. So. And that's just something to stay on top of. Your gun will shoot, your battery will last longer, better trigger response, better rate of fire, less heat. Again, it's a huge difference.
It's everything.
Now we're getting into the small stuff inside the gearbox. Anything external to the gearbox that I'm not thinking about?
No, not much that I can really think of.
We're going to talk about front end separately, because that kind of applies.
Yeah, of course.
But in terms of gearbox, I think it's about everything external. So getting into the gearbox, I don't have to say this other than learn to shim. Watch a million YouTube videos. I could spend literally an hour here explaining how to shim a gearbox. And if you guys want us to do that in a stream, talk about how to tech a gun in that level,
let us know. I think one of those, remember those tech videos? I did the intermediate level one. Going down the gearbox. Number 3.
So if you want that, leave a like on this video. Let us know in the comments, something like that. But as I was saying, is shimming's important, but that's not the end all. If you really look at a tuning gearbox, you'll see most of this, but an important one, angle, engagement. I'll explain to you mostly what these things mean I'm going to direct you to say, look up online how to better do them. Again, because I can spend hours here.
Online's literally, if you have anything that you don't know how to do, online is literally going to be your best resource. Like, there are just forums and stuff.
And hopefully we'll be able to offer such a resource with a more advanced tacking video coming soon.
Yes.
But angle alignment is what they mean by that is the way the sector gear engages the piston. You want the first tooth of the sector gear to engage the piston almost vertically. If you engage it like this, and it's just, you can't see in the camera, but it's grabbing just the tip of the gear, it'll chip it off eventually, especially with high performance guns. But again, that goes into more advanced technique. We'll talk about that later. A big one though is if a lot of people on they change the length of their barrel of their gun, long to short, short to long, and they don't change their cylinder.
Yeah,
and that's a really important one.
That happened to me.
Would you put a ported or a
ported? Yeah, ported are very important. So either that, you can either do ported or remove some teeth from your piston, so it's not pulling the pistons back as far.
And this is for a short or longer gun?
Short, to go from long to short.
Okay, yeah, so you don't overvolume your barrel.
Right, right. So the issue with overvoluming your barrel is the pellet will actually be out of the barrel before the piston hits the front of the gearbox. And now you've removed that dampening force in front of the piston head, and it slams into the front of the gearbox much harder. Which, when you're talking about thousands of shots, it breaks stuff over time.
And that's why dry firing is so bad.
Yeah, that's exactly why dry firing is so bad.
No back pressure from the BB.
Yeah, and you would think, oh, this little pellet's not doing much. Actually makes a big, big difference.
And also, I mean, just to talk about reliability too, you put that ported cylinder in there, and you're no longer going to be pushing that much weight or that much force to the front of the gearbox, unless I'm getting that incorrect.
Well, yeah, because the piston will be at its highest velocity closer to the front of the gearbox. Okay. So you'll be able to get a higher pressure spike, and you're just using energy more efficiently.
Yeah. So I had I initially, when I had the Crytek I initially got was a CRV. And me and Isaiah swapped barrels in rail lines, and I had a drop of 100 FPS.
You're undervoluming.
Exactly. So there was a port so close to the front of the cylinder, so I swapped out for a full size, or like a
full cylinder, yeah.
A full cylinder, and that thing, it was right back up to where it should be.
So exactly, and a little more advanced here, what I like to do with ported guns, and I won't do this in customer guns because you kind of have to do. You have to know your gun to be able to do it, and sometimes it takes a little extra tuning. But on personal guns, or close friends guns, because a port is just wasted energy. A port is basically you have your cylinder and you have a hole halfway through it. As the piston's coming forward, all the air goes out that hole until it gets in front of the hole. Yeah. And then the air goes down the barrel. Well, all of that spring compression is now completely wasted. So what I like to do is actually cut teeth off the piston and off the sector gear so that the piston only retracts maybe halfway or 3/4 way. And so the overall cycle is shorter and you're using less battery. Your overall response time is faster because it's only cycling. It's not cycling as far. Makes a big difference. But again, that's much more advanced tuning. But something to consider if you really are working on trying to tune your gun as best as possible. If you're going
You'd be surprised what you can do with a Dremel.
Oh yeah, if you're going for an indoor gun with a very short barrel, there's no reason to retract that piston all the way. So it's almost like going for a dual sector. I mean, the whole dual sector setup is taking that to the extreme. And because you're only retracting it halfway, the thought is, well, might as well do it twice per revolution.
Yeah.
So that's why dual sector, I always consider using dual sector guns to get higher rate of fire as quote-unquote cheating. But it does have its merit for indoor, super short barrel guns. If you're going to be trying to do, I've seen people put it in like almost full length M16 guns, and I'm like, that just won't work.
No, it literally won't.
You underbarrel into your barrel. It just won't work. And that's a big thing, is having an understanding of the gearbox to the barrel. A regular gearbox can only volume a 500 millimeter barrel, plus or minus 10 millimeters. But a full cylinder is great for 500 millimeters. On a version 2 or version 3 gearbox. Version 7 and 6 are longer because they're designed for long barrel guns. That's why the SR25 you'll see has a longer gearbox on the other models, is to get that extra fine.
SR25s are weird because there's so many. There's like
7 different ways to make it.
There's so many. I was just like,
You have
is this long? Is this, that?
The SR25, you have an elongated gearbox, you have elongated hop-up, or you have the Aries style, which is M4 hop-up, M4 gearbox. It's my personal favorite. But either way, it is a big way to tune your gun, understand how barrel length goes to cylinder. But I know I'm probably boring people to death, so I'm going to move forward.
I find it interesting.
Again, if you want a video, one of our 10 to 20 minute videos on Thursdays be really about this detail of building an AEG gearbox, please throw comments, throw stuff in the comments. Let us know what you want. We will make what you guys want.
Yeah.
Like the video, let us know, stuff like that. We're all here to make content you guys want to watch.
If you don't tell us what to make, we're just going to keep making
And actually, I'm doing that video soon will be best before I start my full-time job.
Yeah.
So, oh god. But really, internally gearbox, it's a lot more you can do. Tefloning seals, things like that. But honestly, the best thing you can do is we use heavyweight shock oil for remote control trucks, believe it or not, as our main for sealing for O-rings. I think we use a 42.5 weight.
Yeah, the heavy duty stuff.
Yep, we use a 42.5 weight to re-grease O-rings, and it really brings them back to life. We can get perfect air seals. But these are for people that really know how to attack guns. I want to move back more towards stuff that a regular user can do.
What would you call them?
Someone who isn't good at attacking guns.
Pretty simple.
Yeah.
Would you say that they're mildly interested in airsoft? Perhaps a more laid back attitude towards it?
Yes.
Where are you
I'm willing to say
doing
those things.
Would you say that?
I would say they're a casual gamer, not a casual whatever you said.
Whoa, who's calling these people filthy all of a sudden?
You.
At no point was I saying that these people are stinky, that they are perhaps maybe not as smart.
I'm gonna get in your face again real soon.
I was just saying they might have a more
That's coming. Stay tuned.
Casual gamer, there's nothing wrong.
Now you
with
have
that.
to
That's not
watch
what
the
you
rest
said.
of the cast to
Right.
see if James gets a water bottle in the face. Stay tuned.
Right. Look,
Just
coming
saying.
up now, water bottles.
I'm not touching you.
Okay, but is there anything else internal to gearbox that's a little simpler than heavy teching that you might suggest?
Inside the gearbox.
Or in AEG?
Building your own MOSFET based on electrical.
Okay, so I would say that's a little
sounds
too
pretty
complex.
advanced.
No,
That'd be good.
That's the joke.
Well, it's actually not that hard. So I would.
And
I would
also,
actually,
the
I
joke
consider
wasn't that
borderline.
funny.
Building your own MOSFET is incredibly simple.
Okay.
But that's still not like something that's like
Yeah.
super accessible. Like
No.
I could be like, I can put grease here.
Oh, here. How about this? How about this? Wire gun to the rear.
Yeah,
Oh,
front
yeah.
wire guns
Yeah,
are
that's not
inferior.
that bad.
You're inferior.
So trust me, you'll love yourself in the long run with a wire gun to the rear.
Please.
Or do you want to move
Stop
on to
space.
HPA systems?
Papa.
Let's see. I mean, so just on the last note of the gearboxes, I even go as far as saying installing your own MOSFET. Like
Yeah.
Carlos has said that. I mean,
Yeah, we
if you
discussed
get a good drop-in unit.
If you listen, we completely discussed that.
Okay. Well, typical James.
Yep.
But
I don't know how
that-
industry
How many
works.
times has that been streamed so far?
Okay.
You're just like, well,
Okay.
let me talk about it. It's
I was actually looking up the electrical outlay of a solid state relay to see if building your own MOSFET would actually be that hard.
It's not.
I guess if you did like a couple days worth of research, you could do it with no problem.
For like 10 minutes.
We're 10 minutes. If you've taken, what is it, physics 2? Yeah.
Yeah. Or really.
I haven't taken that one yet. It's next semester.
But either way, moving forward, is there anything else you'd like to throw into the gearbox discussion before we
Nope.
jump on to the next?
And if I do have anything, it's probably already been said. So.
That's not the truth. I'm going to let you take away HPA tuning.
HPA tuning. So,
Actually, one quick second before I do that. In terms of gearbox stuff, though, our tech right now is Stefano. Is really great at this stuff. If you really want a really thoroughly well-tuned gearbox, and you don't feel comfortable doing it yourself, feel free to bring it by here. And it's actually, if you are if you're good enough to take the gearbox out of the gun and deliver just the gearbox, you can tune the gearbox, so it'll be a little bit less, but we do suggest bringing the gun because then you can tune it to your barrel length and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
Now,
Alright, so HPA. The Polar Star, actually let me just pull the Polar Star FCU settings just so I can have it in front of me.
they have changed over the years. So
Yes, they have.
my brain is still stuck on Gen 2.
Alright, so let's see if this is updated. Let's see, nope, this is from 2012. That would be incorrect. Let's see, so when you tune your boat, I guess just while I'm pulling this up, I'll try to do two things at once and speak and research. So when you...
I know, James doing two things at once.
I know, this is
Hard
a
to
challenge
believe.
for me. So anyways, so the Polar Star setting, really what makes a Polar Star better than anything else is the fact that relative to to a gearbox, you can push unlimited, or relative to your barrel length and everything, that is airsoft, you can push what is essentially unlimited air down your barrel for every time you pull that trigger. With
What's
these
nice
gearboxes-
too is that you really aren't limited by barrel length. You can push as much air as you want.
Yes.
It's kind of annoying if people do that, isn't it?
Yeah, right? and so that's really wonderful about that. You know, like an out of the box with the stock settings Polar Star I'll be talking about the fusion engine for the majority of this discussion, just because it is their flagship model. It is the best of the best. It'll outperform just about any gun off of the wall.
To be fair, a lot of the stuff will apply to Wolverines, Jacks, F1s as well. When we talk about voluming your barrel air-wise, and just like AAGs, it's very important for, even more important for fusion engine systems.
Yes. Yeah. Let's see. None of these are clickable. So I guess it is. It's a zip. Oh, it's such a.
I turned off the wire. I won't buy my phone and buy
Alright, that's even a firmware thing. Anyways. Alright, so I can't. For some reason, Polar Star doesn't put a version, a whole thing of their of all their settings. They just put a jacked version of it. But anyways, I've done this enough times that I can talk at the top of my head. But a well-tuned Polar Star, that's where you get all that, all that difference in performance. And the main setting, that's the one that I will always start with, is your pop control, your DP setting. Think of pulse width when you're thinking that. Think of a pulse of air that you're pushing down the barrel that carries the BB along with it. And that pulse width can be controlled. You can control how long that pulse is. What it does is it opens up the poppet, which allows air to flow through it for a specified amount of time. That is what your DP setting is. It is in, I think, milliseconds? Is it a thousandth of a second or something?
I can't remember.
Or
It's hundreds or
I think it's a hundredth of a second. It's a thousandth is a little tiny.
Yeah, I can't remember. It doesn't quite matter.
Because you can still adjust it, but even still, so you can adjust that set amount of time. So let's say it's too high. What you're going to be doing is you're going to be pushing that BB, that pulse of air is going to be traveling. It's going to be pushing air out of that barrel for longer than the BB is inside the barrel. The overall goal of tuning your fusion engine is to make it so that the volume of air that is released from your poppet is the same amount that would go through your barrel. That pulse of air will eventually stop, it'll stop letting out air once that BB has exited the barrel. I'm not perfect at explaining this, but I think I'm making it pretty comprehensible. So anyways, how to tune this is your DP setting. Set that fairly high. I'm pretty sure, I think that the settings kind of were inverse with the recent, with the recent one. Like it used to be the lower the DP setting, the less amount of air. But now I think it's, actually no, I think that's still the main.
No, it's RF that was reversed.
Yes, RF, thank you. And I'll go into that in just a minute. And so your DP value, set that high. Out of the box, set it at like 30. And when
I didn't start at 20, but either way.
And just to be safe. So what you're going to do is at that point you're over voluming your barrel. You might notice that your FPS is a little bit higher, but really
probably not as what's the word? reliable.
Yes, yes. So it'll be pretty inconsistent because of what will happen is that BB is exiting. You have this huge cloud of air releasing with it, and what that can do is it can create some almost, if you will, turbulence around the BB. It could, that will be perfect, like a perfect cushion of air when it exits at every time. So you might get the chance to perhaps create small inconsistencies. And this is like really, really getting in depth. Like he can nerd out. Even Des is so bored he's on his phone. And so what I do is when I do this is I'll bring that number down. I'll shoot twice, look at the FPS, bring it down. And what I do is what you'll notice is the FPS is going to be pretty consistent until you get around that 18 range for your value. And what the overall goal is to shoot, bring it down one, shoot, bring it down one. You're going to notice a steep FPS drop, and that's relative speaking to this test. You're going to notice about a 10 to 20 FPS drop. At that point, you're going to put that setting back up to 2 and then test it. That BB should be coming out of the barrel at almost the exact same FPS, plus or minus about 0.5 FPS, in terms of variant. And that's what I do whenever I tune. I've got a max, and that'll get you to that perfect volume of air. And it's nice because you won't be, it's also pretty air efficient on that in that respect as well. A couple other settings, your DR setting, leave at 22, that's your stock setting. That has to do with how the fusion engine communicates with the FCU. It's irrelevant to. Really? I thought it was something to do with the trigger and how it communicates. Even still, I've always left
DR has more to do with it's another delay. So DR in open bolt mode is the time between after it seats the pellet, how long it waits before it shoots.
Okay.
So in closed bolt mode, where you shoot then seat the pellet, that's the minimum amount of time before it lets you shoot again. So in closed bolt mode, it has more of an effect on full auto. In open bolt mode, it makes a big effect. So in open bolt mode, it's good to leave it at 22. In closed bolt mode, I actually like to bring it down to about 17. But that's my personal preference.
I remember reading the owner's manual states that you just don't want to leave, or not below 17.
Yeah, not below
a certain value.
So with closed bolt mode, you can actually bring it all the way down to 0 if you're on semi-automatic mode only. Okay. Because it has no effect. That delay never comes into play. If you go to full auto, you'll find you'll have heating issues and jamming issues. In open bolt mode, and that's another thing, is we all generally use closed bolt mode with dual solenoid systems. And what that means in open bolt mode is it'll load the pellet, then fire the air. Because it's obviously two separate actions that take place. Generally what happens is it loads the pellet, and the pellet's only in there for 17 milliseconds or whatever the multiplier is on that number, and then it shoots. And as crazy as it sounds, the pellet still has some natural vibration within it, and that reduces accuracy. I prefer closed bolt mode, where it fires a burst of air, then loads the next pellet. So your first shot will always be a blank fire.
And when you drop your mag, you always have one in the chamber.
Unless you've entered your mag, yes. And you'll have one in the chamber when you enter your magazine. So technically slightly less safe and also slightly less dependable when you load a magazine in, but the overall benefits of much more accurate shooting, in my opinion, outweigh the very, very small cons. Though I do find that some guns just do not operate well in closed bolt mode. There are a couple guns out there that I know that I've just needed to put them in open bolt. Saws I generally like open bolt. Open bolt tends to be more reliable, less likely to jam,
more consistent.
And that's because a lot of times closed bolt mode, if the pellet seats wrong, the nozzle jams that pellet into the bucking wrong, and then it sits there for a second before you shoot. Whereas open bolt mode, sometimes it's already releasing a burst of air by the time the nozzle gets forward. And that's where DR is too short. DR will actually release the burst of air before the nozzle comes all the way forward. And the same thing, that happens with RF in closed bolt mode.
Okay.
If RF is below 5 in closed bolt mode, which is no longer the case with new systems, so if you have a Gen 3 or Gen 2, if RF is below 5, it'll actually release the burst of air before the nozzle is seated well.
Yes. Let's see. So, is there anything more you think on the DR setting or closed bolt settings?
No, I'd say that's about what covers that.
Okay. let's see, I guess I'll move on to the DN setting. DN setting is nozzle welt. That's a very simple one. It's just how long that nozzle is held back before it goes forward. So if you're having any feeding issues, Polar Stars are notorious for feeding issues.
Right, so personally, I like that number at 10 or 11. With my Magpul mags, the PTS mags, I can actually go down to 6, believe it or not, and it still feeds because those mags feed so freaking fast.
Yeah.
I like the safe 10 or 11 so I can use anyone's mag. High caps I do have a little bit of an issue with.
High caps you generally have to turn that.
Right, so high caps 12 to 14 is generally where you'll want to be. Mid caps 10 to 11. Sometimes you can actually double feed if the number's too high, I've seen. 10 or 11 also has this really nice effect of when it pulls back the nozzle, it creates a slight vacuum. And it'll actually pull the pellets into the hop-up chamber. And so you never have those last 3 pellets fall out when you drop your mag.
Huh.
Have you been able to tune to that?
I've never noticed that.
My guns are all tuned to that, where I'll shoot, where I can shoot every single, no, not even. I'll shoot every single pellet in the magazine. When I pull my magazine out, no pellets fall out. And that's why I use 10 or 11. When I use 6, I didn't have that effect anymore because the nozzle was only back for a very short period of time.
Interesting.
Yeah, it's pretty fun.
Great. So that's just about the DN. The DN's getting pretty straightforward.
Yeah.
Then you now have the newer ones have the anti-stiction pulse. And what you may have noticed is that your first shot may have some kind of little low. Yeah, that's a very common thing with Polar Stars. With the
generally, it's highly tuned color. Generally for people that turn DP really far down.
Yeah.
On the short barrels, this is when Polar Stars first came out, and we were seeing what could be done. We had a gun shooting with a DP of 7, a DR of 6, an RF of 1, and a rate of fire of about 50. Like, no joke, this was Fuji's gun. Pellets were coming out so fast that some of them would bump into the pellet in front of them and go spontaneous directions.
That's hilarious.
But, and when you'll run into this whole extinction pulse issue with much higher settings than those, but generally lower DP values give you that extinction pulse issue. And I'll let you continue talking about it. Okay?
Yeah, and so what that extinction is that the poppet is held together with a slight amount of friction when it stays where it is, and that's what results in that low FPS. The poppet isn't open for as long as it should be there for FPS. So what this IS value is it's each number is worth 10 seconds. So for example, if you set the IS value to 2, it's worth 20 seconds. If you set it to 1, it's 10 seconds. And every 10 seconds, it'll put a small pulse and just move that poppet just slightly.
Well, it'll do it right before you shoot. What it is, it's an additive. You actually described it very well.
We'll begin after each trigger input, and once it ends, it will add the value you've set to the IP.
Yes.
Or your DP. Okay.
So what it does is, so one is you said the second counter. That's correct. So it won't. So one is the second counter, and it's like, say you said it's 10. That stiction pulse won't be added to the first shot unless it's been more than 10 seconds.
Okay.
So with some guns, you only need that if it's less than, for my gun, generally it'd be nice if I had it, because if I don't shoot for maybe 5 or 10 minutes, then I would like that stiction pulse because my first shot would be done. Some guns, it's as short as 5 or 6 seconds, so you really have to tune it per gun. And then it's an additive pulse to the regular DP. So where your regular DP might be 20 milliseconds.
Yes, and that is your IP value.
Right, that IP value. It'll add to your DP in the very first shot, just that little bit.
Yes, and actually Polar Star, their website, has an FAQ section which perfectly describes it. So let's say you have the settings, your IS is at 03, your IP is at 10, and your DP is at 50. After the system has been idled for 30 seconds, it will automatically increase your DP value to 60 after that IP value of 10 like that is just described for the first shot, and then lower back to 50 for the following shots until the system has once again sat idle for 30 seconds.
Exactly.
So it's actually very simple once you understand it.
Yeah. And I'm so jealous. I've actually considered upgrading my, I guess it's actually just new firmware. Apparently, if you send your FCU into Polar Star, they can update the firmware on it to the newest version.
You can download the firmware from the website, but you gotta have all this stuff.
Yeah, I don't have all the stuff. So
yeah.
Delaware is like 5 seconds away.
Yeah, right.
The only issue is like my gun shooting so perfectly right now. Part of me is like I don't want to. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So we got about 50 minutes left, so I'm going to talk real quickly about spring action stuff and some tricks that I've done. And God, there's so much more to talk about here, but it's probably better devoted for. If you guys want to learn more, I know it's going to get kind of boring. If you guys want to know more, let us know. We'll really make a Thursday video where we really talk about it and really lay out the charts and shit like that. Stuff like that. But the spring action stuff, one of my favorite things to do with bolties, spring action bolties where this applies the most, is when we get into front end, talking about the front end of the gun, and that's barrel, hop-up assembly, bucking, so on and so forth. Vibration is really the killer of accuracy. 110%. Everything I do with the front end of the gun is about killing vibrations. With a spring action gun and with an AEG,
Please don't kill my vibe.
with a spring action gun and AEGs, you have this piston slamming into the front of the system, creating a big shock wave that affects the pellet. With AEGs, the best thing you can do there is really just tuning your gun so that the barrel length and cylinder, as we talked, match, so that your cylinder's not slamming into the front when the pellet's already left the barrel and stuff like that, or slamming in too early for that matter. But with bolt actions, you can't really avoid that generally to longer barrels. One trick I saw on the internet years ago, and I've actually used in a lot of bolty builds, that's fantastic, is on the piston head, you actually take, generally cleaning rod, believe it or not, that's almost the exact same internal diameter as the cylinder head, and you put a little rod on the screw sticking out through the piston head so that it actually seals the cylinder right before the piston hits the front of the cylinder.
I remember you told me about
Yeah,
this.
it makes a tiny, tiny, tiny little air cushion. But you go from a to just a every time you shoot. I did that on my own, my Type 96 back when I had it, and you never saw that, but God, it was quiet.
You don't really see that much of an FPS drop off either.
I saw about 20 FPS drop, which is pretty minimal
Yeah, that's
for
pretty
a
minimal, yeah.
huge noise reduction, but also a huge vibration reduction. I also saw way better accuracy, so I'm not sending this shockwave right down the barrel. That's really going to be one of the biggest things when it comes to bolt action tuning, other than keeping things well greased. Bolt action with springs, it really does become a throw money at it, and it like zero triggers, better cylinders, and I've always said to really do bolt action right and be a useful sniper, quote unquote, or DMRman, you have to throw at least $500 to $600 at your gun.
Because you know how you always do like Dan for clapping?
Well, no, I did that on purpose.
Okay.
I was demonstrating noise.
So I just gotta comment rest and pepperoni headphone users.
Yeah, no, I did that one on purpose to demonstrate noise. But no, I know it's still a pain. Literally. Alright, let's talk a little bit about front end, because that is my specialty, and you know it.
Yep.
So I've all along been an advocate for tuning the front end of a gun. No matter what gun it is, you can do these suggestions will work. And again, it's all about cutting down vibrations. So step one of the biggest things I'll do to any gun, even when I just build guns for customers, it takes a while, but it's worth it. And you add tape around the barrel at non-equidistant locations. And the non-equidistant is very important, or everything you're doing is completely worthless. I usually do one right at the tip of the barrel, and I add a layer of Scotch tape, and then a layer of Scotch tape behind it in 2 half moons, so that between the two you always have the same diameter. You know what I mean?
Yeah, yeah.
You never overlap in one part, because that'll push the barrel down at that spot. You can actually barrels do have a slight bend to them, so if you do it wrong, you get a wave of the barrel and ruin your accuracy. Which is a lot of times what happens with those modified hybrid barrels. And it's actually funny that my friend that I'm helping build a gun for he was mentioning how his gun was just shooting like crap at Auto Justice. And I opened it up and saw that modified hybrid barrel, and I was like, oh, here's the problem. I've had zero luck with them. I've seen them in any gun I've ever seen them in shoots like crap. So don't use those barrels. Use a good quality brass barrel, or my preference is a really high quality stainless steel barrel and PDI. They're expensive, but God, are they worth it.
Oh yeah,
Night
and
and
we
day
can
performance.
carry them too.
Yep, yep.
We can get PDI barrels in.
Yep.
Actually, I just recently put
Yeah.
a special order for them too.
Night and day performance, and I could go into why PDI barrels are cold cut forged, and there's a lot of science there that I'll send people to sleep with. But best thing to do, like I said, you put that tape in the front of the barrel and you keep adding layers, one at a time, until the barrel is tight but not ripping the tape off when you put it in. Then about 2/3 of the, or right in front of the hop-up, with maybe about an inch or two gap, you do the same thing, again, until it's tight but not ripping the tape off. And then somewhere random, but not right between the front tape and the rear tape, you add another piece of tape, or another wrapping of tape, until once again, it's tight but not ripping the tape off. You do that, it'll take a while, and that gets rid of the vibrations in your barrel. Excuse me, doing a lot of talking and I'm almost out of water. Because a standing wave cannot form in the barrel because you're fixing it at non-equidistant locations. If you take any vibration class or anything like that, you'll know what I mean, but otherwise, just trust me. It makes a big difference, and it creates any vibrational waves that come from the gearbox get stopped by those pieces of tape in weird locations, or disrupted, reduced significantly. And even in HVA systems, there is a vibration. That nozzle's moving, that nozzle's hitting the front of the system, still makes a difference. So, what was I going to say? The other really big thing with the front end is obviously the hop-up assembly. Don't use the plastic hop-up assembly. Unless it's like a stock G&G Tokyo Murray, or sorry, G&G or Tokyo Murray M14 hop-up assembly, then most definitely use it. They're some of the best on the market. Otherwise, Pro-Win makes, in my opinion, the hands-down best system.
It's the best.
Gotta be.
The way the wheel engages and the arm engages is great. Out of the box, however, if you are someone who's around extreme, find me and ask for one of my custom hop-up arms. It changes kind of how the system works all together. It's a mix of an R hop-up and an SCS, and you know what I mean by that. You know what I mean. If not, it engages the hop-up in a concave fashion along a ramp surface. And the reason it's difficult, the reason I would just sell these at Extreme is that I make like 3 or 4 different sizes, and you have to use the right one depending on the weight of your pellet, the length of your barrel, and it becomes a put an arm in, see how it shoots, put another arm in, see how it shoots, and find the one that works. It's a whole process. So I've only done it to really my friends' guns. I've done it to your gun, James' gun, my gun.
Yeah.
It makes it, yeah, right.
Yeah.
It's dry in here with this AC going. It makes a huge difference. But even if you don't have access to that and a 3D printer, the tools necessary to do that,
Just put it in front of it.
a Pro-Win helps, but also very important, 2 more things, is when you put your whole gun together, flip the gun over and look in the mag well, and try and move the hop-up assembly. If it can move forward and back, you're going to want to adjust that grub screw on the top of the Pro-Win until you don't want the grub screw so far out that the lower and upper don't go together nicely. Like you don't want to have to hammer that front pin in.
Yeah.
Because then you're crushing your gearbox, you're misaligning things, it's bad. But you don't want it so loose that the hop-up can move forward and back. So literally a lot of times it's take the lower off, take the hop-up out, turn it half a turn, put it back in, put it back together, see how it fits together. It takes a long time, but when it's there, it's there. And again, return to my used thread lock to fix it in place. Another big one, and I introduced James to this a little while ago, is if you go in there, you'll notice the hop-up can also move left and right slightly. And the reason for that is the barrels are cut to accept any hop-up, and the hop-ups are cut to accept any barrel, and so there's very loose tolerance between the two. Generally, a VFC outer barrel or a Mandible outer barrel and a Pro-Win hop-up makes the best combination, but if you don't want to go run out and buy a new barrel, best thing you can do is put a couple layers of shrink wrap on the arms of your hop-up to make it fixed really, really well. It can't wobble side to side, and that will reduce your left and right variance when you're shooting at very long ranges. I realized something we didn't touch on in HPA systems is alignment of the nozzle. You actually know much better than I, so I'll let you talk about that.
Oh yeah. So nozzle alignment. If you ever look down the front of your barrel, always make sure it's unplugged with your magazine out. You know, that's the obvious stuff. What you want to see is a perfect, almost bullseye. You're going to see the nozzle centered. I mean, the camera isn't working, so it's kind of pointless to hold in my hands, but
you know, you want it to really go like this.
Yeah, insert the finger, like, you know, insert your finger, make a hole with your right hand, like, you know, like, make like an O with your right hand, take your index finger.
Okay.
But make sure that when you're putting that index finger through, it's perfectly centered. That's actually what you want to see, is that perfect landing inside the hole. You gotta use the force for that one.
That way you can really make sure the white stuff goes down the hole. Really fast.
Yes. So your white projectiles have a clear path of flight.
Stay on target. Stay on target.
You're plucking through the lips. Through the fucking lips.
Okay. Let's get back on target.
That was a pretty good one, though.
Oh,
anyway, so what you're gonna do is if you have an open bolt system like an SMP or a jack, you can shine your light inside the mag well, look down the barrel, and it should be perfectly even. If it is not, if you have a Polar Star, you should be able to shine the light right next to your face and then look down the barrel, and then you'll be able to see that. And it should be nice and even. Some different ways, like let's say your alignment is off. Maybe you tightened like your stock screw or your motor plate screws maybe a bit too much. Or not your motor plate, but your pistol grip screws a bit too much, because those, you over tighten them, they will actually adjust the angle of engagement of your nozzle on your hop-up unit.
Yeah.
So that is absolutely something I've seen happen a lot of times.
That happened in my, I couldn't figure out why my MP5 wasn't like working or hopping or anything, because of the alignment, so I went in and I just like slowly tweaked it in the motor grip, and I figured that out. It was awesome.
Yeah, exactly. And so what I like to do first is 9 times out of 10, what you're going to want to do when you're first reinstalling a fusion engine or a fresh installed jack is to put your body pins in first. So put your magazine release, that body pin right above the trigger, and as well as your rear receiver pin. Put those in first, then put your stock and your pistol grip on, because that will make sure that you have your true alignment, at least in terms of manufacturer's specs. What I've seen a lot, and I've done a lot, which leads me to giving that tip, is that you reinstall all the screws first, and then you go to put these pins in, and they're not aligned at all, and it's a huge pain. You end up actually deforming those pin holes, and you're seriously in some trouble at that point in terms of alignment. So definitely do all that kind of stuff first. If you still are having issues, this is getting a little bit advanced. Let's say you have a SMP or a Polar Star jack system. What some people have done, and this is actually recommended by Rich Lort, the creator of the SMP, is you tap your gearbox for screws, and you actually put little grub screws in the inside of your gearbox, which helps with alignment. And that's like the real professional way to do it. Other people have maybe you can chop a credit card, something dense, and use like credit card or something to shim your gearbox, left and right, up and down. There's a ton of different ways to help you get that, but the professional correct way to do it is to tap a screw and to adjust it from within the gearbox to do that. But once again, that's some
fairly advanced.
Yeah, because you gotta have all the right tools for that. But that's when it very good when it comes to nozzle alignment. And also, since we're in that region, I'll just quickly brush upon how to properly get your hop-up unit flush with your gearbox. So you've already gotten your alignment correct, but then you can lose compression, especially with a closed bolt system, if your hop-up unit is maybe even 2 millimeters further forward than it has to be. So the very easy way, the way that I recommend, is to take O-rings. Just take some O-rings that fit around the barrel and shim it. Usually 3 O-rings are good. It kind of has that elastic effect, or that springy elastic effect to it, where you put it on there, and those O-rings will kind of squish a little bit, thus giving you some force, to push it flush against the gearbox. That's the one I recommend. That's the way that I do it. if you are a perfectionist. I know the Pro has it. Not all gearboxes have this, but there's that grub screw that's right above your barrel that you can adjust. And what you can do is you can adjust that grub screw so that when you install your upper receiver to your lower receiver, there is nothing moving. It is a true piece. It is all as if it was manufactured as one solid piece. That is the correct way to do it. That's the correct way to do it. Did you already say that? Yeah. So
I was falling asleep,
Literally,
and I still remember.
I thought you may have said that. I just thought I'd do that. Anyways, so that's how you do that.
Anyways, we're out of time. I'm gonna let these guys wrap up with the announcements again real quick. Just briefly go what's coming up.
So that's why Charles said I think I need an adult.
No, he said he needs an adult because of all that.
Oh. Well, YouTube can't take our videos down if we're just doing this all day, talking about waist up and lips.
So, you want to talk about
So anyways, so we got, so this Saturday, don't forget, adult night, 18 plus only, we will card you if you are a suspect. 400 FPS and 400 FPS with a 2.5, no required minimum engagement distance. It's going to be a lot of player run kind of thing, like whatever the crowd wants for music, crowd wants for game types. Going to be a lot more oriented to actually doing things rather than just going ahead and kind of doing whatever. So that's going to be Saturday, 6 p.m. to midnight, 18 plus. It's $20, $35 if you want to play all day, starting at 11. 11 a.m. to 6 p.m. Still going to be normal gaming, but it's on our website, it's on our Facebook or Instagram, so there's no excuse for anything. So, with that said, Transylvanian Terror, as you can see, not down there, over there. So you can see that pre-registration's up. You can either register for the DC side, or you can register for Dracula's Legion. So it's going to be Dracula, which is me, and then Batman is Isaiah, and it's going to be head-to-head. Please show up as any of the characters on the flyer, except for the Joker. But everyone else, please show up as whatever you want. There's probably going to be a best costume contest. And if you show up as any of those characters, I can just about guarantee you that you are going to have a game mode based around your character, like I said earlier, which is pretty cool, I think. Not a lot of, I don't know of any place that really is like, oh, we're going to do this based around whatever. So it's really cool. So you show up as Pennywise, you have a mission. The end result will pretty much ultimately be being to kill Dracula or whatever, or to take over Gotham. It's going to be awesome. So hopefully you guys can check out whatever you kind of were thinking about. And so that's totally cool, but that's October 29th. Pre-register online. You get to reserve whatever team you want if you want to be with your friends. And you get to save $5. And who doesn't like saving $5? I know I do, because I just had to drop $400 on books.
That's it?
Yeah, sadly. My wallet.
Oh, I didn't play.
I didn't do it.
Sadly.
So I hope you're just ready for Isaiah's voice to progressively get worse throughout the days. So that's what's coming up. So make sure that you guys stay tuned to our Facebook, website, YouTube, Instagram, Snapchat, everything. We'll post details there. We're going to have some cool game modes, some zombie stuff, some everything. So we're going to have some sick decorations. So hope you guys are going to be there. Hope to see you this Saturday, especially at least this weekend at some point. Would be pretty awesome of you guys to come hang out with us.
So buy Facebook first.
Bye Facebook. Sorry.
Because this is all messed up. Alright, and goodbye YouTube.
See you, YouTube.
Thank you for joining us. Like I said, leave comments if you want us to go a little more into detail with these Thursday videos about specifics where we can kind of show you firsthand what we're talking about in the gearbox and best ways to really make your gun perform better than anyone else's on the field. If you liked our news segment, definitely let us know that, because I enjoyed that.
Yeah,
I would definitely like to do news more often in future podcasts.
New
So
things.
if you guys liked that, really, honest to God, like this video, like right now, scroll down, click like. we'll see that if we get, if it looks like people are liking it, and throw a comment if you want it in the future, and we will definitely be doing that again. Thank you very much, guys.
Thank you, guys.
We'll see you next week. We'll hopefully actually remember to announce the topic this week.
What? That wasn't a me thing.
Sigh. All right, guys. Later.
Wasn't it? Bye, guys.